Well, hello retro game players, thank you for tuning in. I'm Marcus. We're going to be getting right into 10 more PS4 shoot-em-ups, and these all have physical releases. So sit back, get yourself some of that sweet-ass caramel popcorn, pour some peanut butter onto that shit, and then slam it down your throat because it's about to get real. Let's do it. Alright, so here we go, 10 more coming at you. Now the deal is with these games is that they're all good. It doesn't matter where they're really at in this list, to be honest with you. If they made this list, they're really good games in their own way. So just keep that in mind as I go through this. Also, make sure you check out the other top 10 PS4 shoot-em-ups video, which is the original one, which has amazing games on that list. So this is just sort of like what's come out, you know, in the last year and before that, and maybe a couple that I missed. So let's get into number 10.
Number 10.
Alright, coming in at the bottom of this list is Dimension Drive, which is a very interesting shooter made by two awesome studios. Now the gameplay in this game is extremely unique. You can control your ship from going to the left and to the right side of the screen, and you can toggle from one side or the other. And you do this to collect power-ups, to avoid enemy fire and enemies themselves, as well as environmental hazards. So it is interesting how you can do that. As you can see on the left side right now, you're kind of the ball of light. That's where you can teleport at any point. And once you hit a button, you do toggle over there. So as far as gameplay goes, it's super unique. The graphics are definitely good. The style of the game is actually very good. The music to me is a little bit of the weak side, but really it's just the melodies and, like, I don't know, kind of the grungy guitar stuff that I didn't really like. But all in all, this game is frantic and I think really interesting. So if you're looking for something that's different as far as shoot 'em ups go, check out Dimension Drive.
Number 9.
Fast Striker from NG Dev Team is the number 9 game on this list. Now this one has an old school formula that is really tried and true. The gameplay itself is not very deep, however, so be prepared for that. I will say that the difficulty levels are scalable, which is nice, so you can play at your own skill level and feel like you're being challenged. With that said, the backgrounds tend to be the weakest point in this game. It feels like they're pre-rendered and they just loop so frequently. The boss battles, on the other hand, are pretty interesting and I would say pretty fun. So this game has not a lot going for it, but where it does excel is the old school gameplay formula, which many of the games on this list do have. I just wish that the backgrounds were a little bit more varied. So anyway, check out Fast Striker if you're looking for something a little bit different to mix up your shooter itch.
Number 8.
Astebreed is an amazing game by Edelweiss. Now, this is a shoot 'em up that sort of changes the format up a little bit because you're a mech, and anybody who's played a good mech game knows that you have plenty of tools at your disposal. So you can approach combat a variety of different ways, including melee attacks, ranged, homing, all that. But one of the more unique things about the gameplay is that it actually transitions from vertical to horizontal, and then actually kind of an isometric viewpoint as well, sort of like Star Fox or something. This game is absolutely gorgeous. So it's the opposite of Fast Striker, where the backgrounds are really bland and boring. This is absolutely extremely stimulating to look at. I mean, it is so gorgeous. So check this game out if you're looking for something that, you know, is just going to take you away to another world while you play. The only thing that I didn't like about this game is that sometimes it was just a little too flashy. And I'm not sure exactly what I mean by that, but the large characters and sort of just the frantic pace was a little insane at times. But otherwise, this game is absolutely awesome.
Number 7.
Coming in at 7 is Gundemoniums by Platine Dispositif, who also made Bunny Must Die, which I covered in another top 10. This one has a lot of colorful graphics, and the actual gameplay is extremely diverse. There's lots of options for attacks and power-ups, and it's actually pretty rad. You can really get lost in this game as far as the gameplay depth and the levels. The other thing that's cool about it is I like the level design a lot, and I like how there's like these bullet storms that you have to navigate through. So that makes it really fun. The fast-paced, sort of borderline cute 'em up. I don't know, it's close. And kind of has a steampunk vibe as well. But all in all, I really, really enjoyed Gundemoniums, and I could not put it down after I started playing. So this was one of my favorites as far as just pick up and play. Definitely check this one out. There you go. That's Gundemoniums.
Number 6.
Stardust Galaxy Warriors is the next game on this list. This is made by Dreamloop, and this is a really cool co-op game. You can choose from 5 different mechs, and they all can be upgraded in different ways, which is pretty cool too. In fact, that's a core element of the gameplay, is that every time you get through a stage, you're able to assign a point to your arsenal and improve like health or a different type of shield, and that's actually pretty awesome. So you can slowly upgrade your mech to kind of be more customizable. Now, the sound design in this game is something I must point out. Absolutely amazing songs, great composing going on here, and I was constantly like just pumped up while I was playing just due to the soundtrack. So that's awesome. And then also the graphics are really good. The backgrounds are great. Everything kind of falls into place with this one. I highly, highly recommend Stardust Galaxy Warriors.
Number 5.
R-Type Dimensions EX is a game that is absolutely awesome, but I don't really need to talk too much about R-Type. I mean, you guys know what R-Type 1 and 2 is. Well, that's what this is. This is a collection of those 2 games. However, as you can see, there is a 3D enhanced mode that you can toggle to, which also changes the music. I'll talk about that in a second. But when you play R-Type 1 or 2, you can choose either infinite continues, which adjusts your score as you die, or you can play the old classic way, which is extremely difficult. Now, getting back to the graphics, this is the notorious clitoris monster, as I like to call it. This thing is absolutely terrifying. The music is awesome. The sprite work is phenomenal. I can't imagine improving on this. And the 3D mode, as you'll see right here, is just kind of weak looking. I mean, look at how the details kind of removed. The music sounds softer. It's not as rockin'. So that's my problem with this game, is that the 3D upgrade is just not worth it. But of course, the core gameplay of R-Type 1 and 2 is simply legendary and a must own if you like shmups. Psyvariar Delta is the next one on this list. I actually played the Dreamcast version quite a long time ago on my channel. It is a really intense bullet hell style shooter. The whole presentation is very slick, and the gameplay is actually pretty cool too. The closer you can get to bullets, you actually level up faster, and you get these things called buzz points, basically. So as you get closer to bullets and you take that risk, you do start to level up. You can also focus in your shooting into a much more direct attack, and your ship spins almost like a barrel roll from Star Fox. The music is absolutely phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed it. In fact, my version of this game came with a 7-inch EP, which I must say is a cool touch to include with the game. This is a great, challenging game and really fun. I love playing this one. Anytime I just have 20 minutes to kill or something, I will pop this in and play the hell out of it. As you can see, the colors and the patterns of the enemies are really, really well thought out. I honestly just feel like this game is one of the best ones on this list, so don't miss Psyvariar Delta. It is challenging, but really, really fun. Three games left, and Steredenn is the third one. This game is absolutely fantastic. Very, very cool level design because it's all random. All the enemies are random every time you play. It's a rogue-style shoot-'em-up, which is something that is unlike any of the other games on this list. So every time you play, yeah, you get one shot through it. You can't die. You can't, continue. You have hit points, which is definitely important. But as you go, you can basically have up to 2 weapons at once, plus a melee attack. And all the weapons are varied. And sometimes you'll upgrade to one and you love it. Other times you're thinking, why did I get this one? It does make a difference as far as what kind of weapon you use against certain enemies, so that's very cool. This is one of the bosses, and that's really the weak point in this game, is that all the bosses really kind of look the same, or at least they increase in size as you go, which is kind of weak, I would say. But the weapons and the impact of the weapons feels so good. It's like you just feel like you're destroying this tiny universe. It's really, really rad. The other thing I would say is the music is interesting. It has moments where it's really good, and then other times it just feels kind of like butt rock. But aside from that, the gameplay is very, very solid. I highly recommend Steredenn because you'll want to keep playing to see how far you can get with each game session. Ketsui Deathtiny is the number 2 game on this list because it is straight out of the arcade. It's a cave shooter, which if you're familiar with cave, should be an indication of why it's on this list. It has also been updated by M2 to include all of the different tools and kind of breakdowns of what is happening in the game. That is seen on the left and right side of the screen, similar to Battle Garega in my last top 10 for the shmups. Along with a great scoring system, you do have 2 methods of fire. One is where you can move quickly around the screen in a sort of spread mode where your weapon is spread out, or hone it in and then your ship moves slower, which is great for avoiding the extra tricky sort of bullet hell style segments, which is exactly what this game is, and that's what it does so well. You don't get lost in all the bullet storm, and you also can tell what's going on, so it's really nice. Great control, great balance. The graphics are extremely impressive. The sound effects sound like they are the ultimate arcade experience, and the music is rad as well. So there you go. Check out Ketsui Deathtiny.
Number 1.
Shikhondo Soul Eater is coming in at number 1. Now, I love this dark, artsy style that it's emanating. There's a lot to this as far as visual and audio. The gameplay is somewhat interesting and varied, although it's not quite as deep as some of the other games on this list. However, with that said, the artistic direction of this game is really, really gorgeous. So it has similar mechanics to a couple other games. For example, the closer you get to bullets, you will fill up this soul gauge. And as you take those risks and get closer to those bullets, you can eventually release a soul attack, which is great for dealing additional damage. You can also toggle between 2 different modes of fire, one where it's hyper-focused and you move a little slower, which is great to avoid sections like this, or you can toggle to the wide mode and you move faster. The enemies are all also worth noting because they start out as these docile women who aren't so threatening, but then midway through the battle they turn into this freakish monstrosity who is absolutely terrifying. I loved these sections, I loved how hard they were, and also it just felt like a great, great epic battle. So my recommendation, all in all, is that this game is a must-have. I loved it. I know it's not the best or deepest as far as mechanics, but it's a fun, easy to step into shoot 'em up with co-op play and gorgeous, gorgeous graphics reminiscent of a cave shooter. All right, that was 10 more PS4 shoot 'em ups with a physical release. What did you guys think? Do you guys want to play any of those on that list? Any that I missed? Would the top 3 that I selected match the ones you selected? I want to know. So, thanks for watching, you guys. Until next time, you know what to do. You're going to keep that shit retro by watching all of my other PS4 top 10s. Do it now! Later on.